Every single day, millions of people over 60 are drinking what they believe are healthy beverages, completely unaware that these drinks are sending their blood sugar skyrocketing higher and faster than a can of Coca-Cola. In the next few minutes, what you discover about 5 seemingly innocent drinks sitting in your refrigerator right now could be the difference between maintaining stable glucose levels and accelerating your path toward diabetic complications, nerve damage, and cardiovascular disease. If you're over 65, if you've been diagnosed with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, or if you simply want to protect your metabolic health before it's too late, stay with me because what I'm about to reveal will fundamentally change how you look at every beverage you consume. And before we go any further, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this channel is dedicated to exposing the nutritional lies that mainstream medicine conveniently ignores while your health deteriorates behind closed doors. Here's what the medical establishment doesn't want you to understand. The average American consumes approximately 146 pounds of sugar annually, but here's the devastating truth. Roughly 40% of that sugar intake comes from beverages that carry health halos, drinks that are marketed as nutritious, natural, or beneficial for your well-being. These beverages trigger glucose spikes that are measurably worse than regular soda, yet they sit on grocery store shelves in the health food section, endorsed by nutritionists, recommended by well-meaning friends, and consumed by diabetics who genuinely believe they're making responsible choices. The numbers paint a terrifying picture. According to the most recent data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 37.3 million Americans currently live with diabetes. That's 11.3% of the entire United States population. But here's where it gets worse. 96 million American adults, that's 38% of the adult population, have prediabetes. And of those 96 million people walking around with dangerously elevated blood sugar levels, more than 80% don't even know they have it. They're consuming these so-called healthy drinks every single day, completely oblivious to the metabolic destruction happening inside their bodies with every sip. Now, let me be absolutely clear about something before we continue. If you are currently experiencing symptoms of severely elevated blood sugar, if you're dealing with extreme thirst that won't go away, if you're urinating far more frequently than normal, if you're experiencing unexplained weight loss, blurred vision, or wounds that refuse to heal, you need to stop watching this video right now and seek immediate medical attention. These are potential signs of a diabetic emergency, and what I'm sharing today is educational information designed to help you make better beverage choices, not replace emergency medical intervention. This information is not medical advice, and you should always consult with your healthcare provider before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you're taking diabetes medications, because the drinks we're discussing can interact dangerously with certain prescriptions. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Ohio who came to see me after her endocrinologist told her she was on the verge of needing insulin injections. Margaret's hemoglobin A1C, that's the 3-month average of blood sugar levels, had climbed to 8.4, far above the target of below 7 for diabetics and below 5.7 for non-diabetics. She was doing everything her doctor told her to do. She'd cut out desserts, she'd stop drinking regular soda, she'd switch to whole grain bread, and she was walking 30 minutes every morning. Yet her blood sugar kept climbing, her energy kept declining, and her doctor kept increasing her medication dosage. When I sat down with Margaret and went through her typical daily routine, we discovered something shocking. Every single morning, she was starting her day with a 16-ounce glass of fresh squeezed orange juice because, in her words, it's natural and full of vitamin C. At mid-morning, she'd drink a smoothie from her local health food store, packed with fruit and advertised as a meal replacement. With lunch, she'd have a bottle of enhanced vitamin water because her friend told her it it was better than regular water. In the afternoon, she'd sip on a homemade green juice that she believed was detoxifying her system. And before bed, she'd have a glass of flavored almond milk that claimed to support bone health. Margaret was consuming more sugar from these supposedly healthy beverages than if she'd been drinking 5 cans of regular Coca-Cola throughout the day. Within 6 weeks of eliminating these 5 drink categories and replacing them with the alternatives I'll share at the end of this video, Margaret's fasting blood sugar dropped from 174 milligrams per deciliter to 118. Her energy returned, the constant brain fog lifted, and her doctor began discussing reducing her medication rather than increasing it. This is the power of understanding what you're actually putting into your body. Before I reveal these 5 dangerous drinks, let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer honestly in the comments below. How old are you, and which of these drinks have you been consuming thinking it was helping your health? Don't be embarrassed. Number in 1979. The beverage industry has spent billions of dollars deceiving you with misleading labels and false health claims. Your honest answer might help someone else watching this video right now who's making the same mistake. The first drink that's destroying your blood sugar control faster than soda is one that's been recommended by doctors, nutritionists, and health magazines for decades: fruit juice. And I'm not just talking about the sugar-laden juice cocktails or fruit drinks with added sweeteners. I'm talking about 100% pure, fresh squeezed, organic fruit juice that carries every health halo imaginable. Here's what happens inside your body when you drink an 8-ounce glass of orange juice. That single glass contains approximately 21 grams of sugar and 26 grams of total carbohydrates. For context, a 12-ounce can of Coca-Cola contains 39 grams of sugar. So you might think the orange juice is better, but here's the metabolic reality that changes everything: the glycemic load, which measures both the quantity of carbohydrates and how rapidly they spike your blood sugar, tells a completely different story. When you eat a whole orange, you're consuming approximately 3.1 grams of fiber along with the natural sugars. That fiber slows down the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream, preventing the rapid spike that triggers insulin resistance. The physical act of chewing also sends satiety signals to your brain, helping you feel satisfied with one orange. But when you drink orange juice, all that protective fiber has been stripped away. You're consuming the concentrated sugar from 4 to 5 oranges in liquid form, which your body absorbs in a rapid rush that sends your pancreas into emergency mode. Studies published in the British Medical Journal following over 187,000 participants for more than 20 years found that greater consumption of fruit juice was significantly associated with higher risk of type 2 diabetes. Specifically, consuming just 1 serving of fruit juice per day increased diabetes risk by 21%. But here's what makes this even more insidious. The same study found that replacing just 1 serving of fruit juice with whole fruit reduced diabetes risk by 7%. The glucose spike from fruit juice happens with terrifying speed. Within 15 minutes of drinking an 8-ounce glass of orange juice on an empty stomach, your blood sugar can jump from a fasting level of 90 milligrams per deciliter to over 160 milligrams per deciliter. That's a 70-point spike in less time than it takes to read the morning newspaper. Your pancreas responds by flooding your bloodstream with insulin. That rapid insulin surge then causes your blood sugar to crash within 90 minutes, leaving you tired, irritable, and craving more sugar. This roller coaster repeats itself every single time you consume fruit juice, and over months and years, this pattern leads directly to insulin resistance, weight gain, and full-blown type 2 diabetes. And it's not just orange juice. Apple juice, grape juice, cranberry juice, even those exotic acai and pomegranate blends marketed as superfoods are all triggering the same catastrophic blood sugar response. The antioxidants and vitamins in these juices don't compensate for the metabolic damage caused by the concentrated sugar load delivered without fiber. The second drink drink silently destroying your glucose control is one that's exploded in popularity over the last decade, particularly among people trying to lose weight and improve their health. The store-bought smoothie. Walk into any health food store, any juice bar, or any grocery store, and you'll find an entire refrigerated section dedicated to bottled smoothies, promising everything from increased energy to clearer skin to better immunity. These smoothies are marketed with images of fresh fruits and vegetables, words like organic, natural, and superfood plastered across the label. They're positioned as meal replacements, as post-workout recovery drinks, as convenient nutrition for busy people, and they're absolutely devastating your blood sugar in ways that make regular soda look harmless by comparison. Let's examine what's actually inside a typical 16-ounce bottled smoothie from a major health food brand. The ingredient list reads like a healthy paradise: organic banana, organic mango, organic strawberries, organic spinach, organic spirulina, organic chia seeds. Sounds perfect, doesn't it? But when you look at the nutrition facts panel, the truth reveals itself with brutal clarity. That single bottle contains 54 grams of sugar and 61 grams of total carbohydrates. That's more sugar than a 16-ounce bottle of Pepsi, which contains 52 grams. But the glycemic destruction doesn't stop at the sugar content. These smoothies are designed to be drinkable, which means they've been processed to a liquid consistency that your body absorbs almost instantaneously. There's no chewing, no gradual release, no mechanical breakdown required. The fruit sugars, even though they're natural, hit your bloodstream in a concentrated wave that triggers the same emergency insulin response as drinking pure glucose. The companies making these products know exactly what they're doing. They've taken foods that would be relatively safe when eaten whole and in moderation, like a banana or a handful of berries, and concentrated them into portions that no human being would naturally consume in a single sitting. Think about it. Would you sit down and eat 3 bananas, 2 mangoes, a cup of strawberries, and a handful of dates all at once? Of course not. Your body would signal fullness long before you finished. But blend it all into a drinkable smoothie, add some water or juice to thin it out, and suddenly you're consuming that entire massive sugar load in less than 5 minutes. Here's what makes store-bought smoothies even more dangerous than homemade versions. Many of them contain added fruit juice concentrates, added natural sweeteners like agave nectar or honey, or added fruit purees specifically chosen for their high sugar content. These additions don't appear as added sugars on the label because they come from fruit sources, but your pancreas doesn't care about the source. Sugar is sugar, and when it arrives in your bloodstream in liquid form without adequate fiber, protein, or fat to slow absorption, it creates metabolic chaos. Research published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition demonstrated that liquid calories don't trigger the same satiety response as solid food. When you drink your calories, your brain doesn't register fullness the same way it does when you chew and swallow solid food. This means you can consume a 500-calorie smoothie and still feel hungry an hour later, leading you to eat additional food on top of that massive caloric and sugar load. Over time, this pattern contributes directly to weight gain, insulin resistance, and progression of diabetes. The third drink that's sabotaging your blood sugar control is one that's marketed specifically to health-conscious consumers who want to avoid sugary sodas, flavored and enhanced waters. This category includes vitamin waters, electrolyte waters, alkaline waters with added minerals, coconut waters, and any bottled water product that promises more than simple hydration. These products have become enormously popular because they give consumers the impression they're making a healthy choice. The marketing is brilliant. Bottles designed with clean, minimalist aesthetics, labels featuring words like enhance, replenish, revitalize, and fortify. Many of them carry claims about containing vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, or antioxidants. They're positioned as a middle ground between plain water and sugary sodas, a way to make hydration more interesting without the guilt. But when you examine the nutrition facts, the deception becomes crystal clear. A typical typical 20-ounce bottle of vitamin water contains 32 grams of sugar and 34 grams of total carbohydrates. Some coconut water brands contain up to 24 grams of sugar per 16-ounce serving. Even products marketed as having 50% less sugar than regular sodas still contain enough carbohydrates to spike your blood sugar significantly, especially when consumed by someone over 65 whose metabolic flexibility has naturally declined with age. Here's the physiological reality. Your body doesn't need enhanced water. If you're eating a reasonably varied diet, you're getting adequate vitamins and minerals from food. The tiny amounts of vitamins added to these waters are often in forms that aren't well absorbed, and the supposed benefits are completely overshadowed by the metabolic damage caused by the sugar content. The electrolytes in these drinks are only necessary if you're engaged in intense physical activity lasting longer than 90 minutes, which means the vast majority of people drinking them have no physiological need for electrolyte replacement whatsoever. The sugar in flavored waters hits your bloodstream with the same rapid absorption as any other liquid sugar source. Within 30 minutes of drinking a bottle of vitamin water, your blood glucose can spike by 60 to 80 points, depending on your individual insulin sensitivity and what else you've eaten that day. That spike triggers insulin release, which drives the sugar into your cells and often results in reactive hypoglycemia, a blood sugar crash that leaves you feeling exhausted and craving more sugar to restore your energy. What makes these drinks particularly insidious is that people consume them throughout the day thinking they're staying hydrated with something healthier than soda. They'll drink one with breakfast, another during their mid-morning walk, another with lunch, and maybe another in the afternoon. Each bottle represents another blood sugar spike, another insulin surge, another step toward insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction. And here's something the manufacturers definitely don't want you to know. Many of these products use crystalline fructose or high fructose corn syrup as their primary sweetener. Fructose is particularly damaging because it's metabolized almost exclusively by the liver, where it gets converted directly into fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis. This contributes to fatty liver disease, one of the fastest growing health problems in America, affecting approximately 100 million Americans and strongly associated with insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. The fourth drink destroying your metabolic health is one that's become a staple in the health and wellness community, particularly among people trying to increase their vegetable intake: store-bought green juices and cold-pressed vegetable juices. These products are sold at premium prices in the refrigerated section of health food stores, positioned as the ultimate health drink, the liquid equivalent of eating a massive salad. The marketing is seductive. Beautiful glass bottles filled with emerald green liquid, labels listing impressive arrays of vegetables: kale, spinach, celery, cucumber, parsley, wheatgrass. Many of them also include fruits for flavor: apple, lemon, ginger, pineapple. They're marketed as detox drinks, as alkalizing tonics, as ways to flood your body with nutrients and antioxidants. Celebrities endorse them, influencers photograph them, and health-conscious consumers pay $6 to $10 per bottle believing they're investing in their well-being. But here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody in the green juice industry wants to discuss. Most store-bought green juices contain significant amounts of fruit to make them palatable, and even the ones that are purely vegetable-based can spike your blood sugar because of how they're processed and what types of vegetables are used. A typical 16-ounce bottle of green juice might contain apple juice as the first or second ingredient, which immediately makes it a high-sugar beverage regardless of how much kale is floating around in there. And even brands that don't add fruit juice directly often use high-sugar vegetables like carrots and beets as their base. A single bottle can contain 30 to 40 grams of sugar, putting it right in the same category as soda. But what about the purely vegetable green juices with minimal sugar content? Surely those are safe for blood sugar control. Here's where the science gets interesting and reveals why even low-sugar vegetable juices can be problematic for diabetics diabetics and pre-diabetics. When you juice vegetables, you're removing the fiber that would normally slow down the absorption of whatever natural sugars and carbohydrates those vegetables contain. Celery, cucumber, and leafy greens do contain some carbohydrates, and when you consume them in juice form without fiber, those carbohydrates are absorbed more rapidly than if you'd eaten the whole vegetables. More importantly, vegetable juices often contain significant amounts of natural sodium, particularly if they include celery, which is frequently used as a base ingredient. For every 16-ounce serving, you might be consuming 200 to 400 milligrams of sodium. While sodium itself doesn't directly spike blood sugar, it can contribute to fluid retention and elevated blood pressure, both of which are major concerns for diabetics who already face increased cardiovascular risk. The bigger problem with green juices is what they represent in terms of eating behavior. When you drink your vegetables instead of eating them, you're bypassing all the satiety signals that come from chewing, swallowing, and mechanically breaking down food. You can consume a 16-ounce green juice in 3 minutes, but eating the equivalent amount of vegetables would take 20 to 30 minutes and leave you feeling satisfied and full. This means people who rely on green juices often consume them in addition to their regular meals, rather than as a replacement, adding extra calories and carbohydrates to their daily intake without any corresponding reduction in hunger. Research from the Department of Nutrition at Harvard School of Public Health found that while whole fruit and vegetable consumption is associated with reduced diabetes risk, fruit and vegetable juice consumption shows no protective benefit and may actually increase risk when consumed in large quantities. The study concluded that the fiber content of whole fruits and vegetables is essential for their protective effects, and that removing the fiber through juicing eliminates those benefits. The fifth and final drink that's sabotaging your blood sugar control is perhaps the most surprising of all: plant-based milk alternatives with added sweeteners and flavors. This category includes flavored almond milk, vanilla soy milk, chocolate oat milk, sweetened coconut milk, and any non-dairy milk product that's been enhanced with flavors, sweeteners, or additional ingredients beyond the base plant product and water. These products have exploded in popularity over the last decade as people move away from dairy for various reasons: lactose intolerance, ethical concerns about animal agriculture, perceived health benefits, or simply preference for plant-based options. The plant milk industry is now worth over $2 billion annually in the United States alone, and flavored varieties make up a significant portion of those sales because consumers find them more palatable than unsweetened versions. Walk down the refrigerated aisle of any grocery store and you'll see an overwhelming array of options: vanilla almond milk, chocolate cashew milk, strawberry oat milk, chai spiced coconut milk, matcha soy milk. The packages feature images of nuts, oats, or coconuts alongside promises of being dairy-free, plant-based, and often carrying claims about added vitamins and minerals. Many consumers assume these products are automatically healthier than dairy milk, but that assumption can be devastatingly wrong for your blood sugar. A single 8-ounce serving of vanilla almond milk from a major brand contains 13 grams of sugar and 14 grams of total carbohydrates. Chocolate oat milk can contain up to 19 grams of sugar per cup. Even some brands of sweetened coconut milk contain 7 to 10 grams of added sugar per serving. When you consider that many people use these milk alternatives in their morning coffee, pour them over cereal, use them in smoothies, or drink them straight as a beverage, the sugar adds up rapidly throughout the day. What makes these products particularly problematic is that the sugar is often added in forms that don't immediately register as concerning to consumers. The ingredient list might include cane sugar, evaporated cane juice, brown rice syrup, tapioca syrup, or other sweeteners that sound more natural or wholesome than high fructose corn syrup but have the exact same effect on your blood sugar. Your pancreas doesn't distinguish between organic cane sugar and regular table sugar.